44 minutes past the hour, so the pressure's on, and the deadline is right around the corner, but lawmakers still cannot agree on the nation's debt. Joining us now to weigh in on the budget talk, Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison of Texas. Good to see you this morning, Senator.
Thank you, Karen.
So before the break, we just heard from Senator Dick Durbin, your colleague. He says, first of all, everything's on the table, that it has to be in this situation, and that members of Congress need to sit down and act like grown-ups. He's very upset that the Gang of Six talks broke up after Eric Cantor said that there was really nowhere to go with this. Is there room for agreement on this issue?
Oh, yes, there's definitely room for agreement. I think we all realize that a $14 trillion debt is unsustainable. And we need to go forward with a plan, a reform of the way we spend, which is why the balanced budget amendment is going to be introduced today that will put a cap on spending of 18% of our gross domestic product. That will put us on a glide path to never have this situation again.
So Democrats are saying that it needs to be trying to find new sources of revenue in addition to some cutting of spending. Of course, Republicans want to see much more cutting than revenue growth in the form of taxes. But I want to ask you about what you think of some of these specifics. Democrats want to end oil subsidies. They want to get rid of a tax break for corporate jets. They want to limit write-offs if you make more than $500,000 a year. What do you think? Are you opposed?
Well, I think some of those things, like corporate jets, I mean, I don't think anyone would argue with not doing expensing for corporate jets. But when you talk about oil subsidies, oil and gas doesn't get anything that every business doesn't get. You deduct your expenses. Why should oil and gas be singled out, especially in a time when we need more sources of energy to bring the cost down? Why would you single out one industry? That is what we don't understand. And why would we raise taxes on employers at a time when we have a 9% unemployment rate in this country? We want to create jobs. We want to encourage business to hire people.
Well, let me ask you, let me just say one thing. Democrats would say the reason that you single out that industry is because they are one of the most profitable, and that you'd raise $72 billion over 5 years if you did eliminate that tax break.
Yes, why would you single out an industry because they do well? Right now, the Democrats, with their leadership, have put the big oil companies in a different category from the little oil producers, the independents, because they think that big oil makes too much. Well, big oil is a company that we want to be successful. We want their employees to make money. We want a pension plan. I mean,
of course.
Why would we single out one energy company?
Are you in favor of some of the plans, some of the proposals that say, look, let's just end all the loopholes. Let's have a flat, across-the-board corporate tax rate and forget all of the other loopholes and tax breaks along the way and see how that goes?
I'd love it. I think that would be great, because if it is low, and you know our corporate tax rate is among the highest in the world, if we had a low corporate tax rate, no deductions, everyone's treated the same.
Right, but economic experts point out to me that we say we have, you know, the highest, but that in actuality, people don't actually pay it. You see companies like GE that end up paying nothing.
Well, that's because they're doing business overseas, because it's more cost-effective for them to do business overseas. If we could repatriate that money and tax it at a reasonable rate, I think we would have a lot more manufacturing and a lot more jobs in America.
Well, let's get back to the debt ceiling. We have this August 2nd deadline. It's just around the corner. The Treasury is warning that it runs out of money to pay its bills, and the Bipartisan Policy Center is now predicting that if you fail to raise that debt ceiling, Treasury would have to cut 44% of federal spending to prevent a default. So come August 3rd, what bills should not get paid, in your opinion?
Well, I think that we do need to send the signal that we're not going to raise the debt ceiling unless there is reform in spending. Otherwise, we'll be in this same position in 6 months. We cannot do that.
So you believe that this is Chicken Little, that they're saying that really this is not as bad? I mean, it's being described as potentially opening the door to chaos, that world markets, that our markets will plunge. You don't buy any of that?
You know, I think the markets should take the signal that we are going to hold out for real reform and not have this excessive debt, which is bringing down some countries in Europe and could happen to us as well. We're on a spending bench that is unsustainable. I don't think that we should do anything on the debt ceiling without the reform that will show we are not going to get in this position again. We cannot have inflation, which will happen if we don't cover our expenses and show that we're going to get our fiscal
Right, so then when we come down to the wire, though,
order.
on August 3rd, what bills don't get paid first?
Well, I think you pay the interest on the debt so that you do keep your integrity in the market. You pay Social Security. You pay the people in the military who are out there on the front lines fighting for our freedom. You do the things that are essential. And this is where I think the administration is going to be tested. If they won't make an agreement that will have spending reforms, if they start doing the Chicken Little thing by not paying Social Security recipients or people in our military or interest on our debt, and instead choose to cut the things that will hurt the most, but not the things that they could cut responsibly, that's going to be the test that they're not serious.
I got you, Senator. I know you've come forward with a very interesting plan laid out very specifically about Social Security and some solutions for that. I know that it's getting the rounds on YouTube, and so we're going to link it up so that people can check out your plan as well. I want to thank you for your time. Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison, a Republican from Texas, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Karen.
I want to show you guys some